So SmackDown may be going back to 3 hours, so I'm going to stand here and say, please don't do that, WWE. And I'm sure now I've said that, it won't make any difference. Of course it won't. But throughout the rest of the week, there was a lot of nonsense, there was a lot of madness, and a lot of shouting. That's all right, because we also had an episode of SmackDown. And obviously last week's episode of SmackDown didn't go too well down. Got my words wrong there. With the wider community. So let's find out what it did today, because hello, I am Simon Miller, the bald a-hole. I have the finger of power, and I'm going to give the goods up, and I'm going to give the bad bits a down. Remember, if you disagree with me, that's the greatest thing ever, because wrestling and life is all about opinions, and as long as you feel warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum, get this t-shirt now, Pro Wrestling Tees. That's all that matters. Let's up those doubts. So what a good start as well, because WWE remembered the past, and in modern wrestling, you need to do that all of the time. Like if you are going to build characters and you are going to tell us stories, and then just go, let's not talk about it anymore. 6 months down the line, well, we all basically wasted our time, and that rhymes, so it must be true. But we did the opposite here, and I thought it was very good. I mean, the segment was a bit weird, but it had a good finish. But the brand split is out the window again, so out came Rhea, Ripley and Io Sky, and they were like, oh, hi. We didn't really enjoy what did happen on Monday Night Raw. That's why we shouted War Games, and listen to us Kabuki Warriors, Nia Jax and Lash Legend. You think you've got the numbers game, but you don't have the numbers game because we all basically aced our maths tests, and look, we have two people with us as well, and out came Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. They didn't come out like this, but they absolutely should have done. Rhea also made me laugh during this as well, because she was like, oh, jeez, well, look how bad things have got ever since I have been away with my broken nose. I was like, yeah, your name is Mammy, right? So you're literally taking care of children. Anyway, Alexa Bliss then got in the ring, and she was like, oh, I'm going to do so well in the War Games, when Charlotte went, nah, I can't do this anymore. I don't like her. And she was pointing at Rhea Ripley. We don't get on at all, and I think you are a snake. And at first, it sounded like she thought Rhea Ripley was a literal snake, just like wiggling in the weeds. Charlotte then did have quite a big admission, because she said, Alexa, I do see you as a friend. But listen, I don't like her. I know Rhea doesn't like me. She put the microphone down and she walked off. Now, I did laugh a little bit, because like, why didn't you chat about this in the back? But Flair dealt with that really well too, because she also said, I've tried to just accept this and realize it probably is the right thing to do, but nope, I'm not doing it, I'm out. Now, the absolute best part about this is it means just because you're a baby face, you're not going to hang out with other baby faces. That is such a lame thing to do. You want to have characters that actually have conflicting feelings sometimes. Otherwise, this wrestling nonsense would get really boring. So I am going to get it up. Again, everything before the Charlotte stuff was a little bit strange. But then it kind of worked, because you got that big dun, dun, dun. And I'm sure eventually she will be like, fine, I'll do it if I really have to. But at least now she comes across like a real human being. Up. It was the John Cena tournament next, which still sounds like the winner gets John Cena. Imagine that, just dragging him out before every single match they do. But it was The Miz taking on Jey Uso, and it was perfectly fine. It kind of went exactly the way that you would expect it to, although I do have one down. Because The Miz hit the skull-crushing finale, and Jey Uso kicked out. Now listen, these fans, they went crazy for that, but I don't think we need to continue to murder finishing moves in random first rounds of the John Cena tournament. That's right, I'm standing on ceremony here, Mr. Wayne, and I'm giving it down. Jey Uso also hit a dive at one point to put a one on the counter, and soon after that, The Miz just went, I'm going to be John Cena, and he hit the 5-knuckle shuffle. Now, I can only do this for another 6 weeks, so just take a minute, not if you're under 15 years old, to remind yourself what the 5-knuckle shuffle means. For 20 plus years, John Cena has got away with that, and when it's pretty good going. It didn't work though, because Jey Uso was like, I don't want to deal with any of this. So eventually The Miz went for skull crushing finale number 2. Jey was like, nah, I'm not into that. He hit the spear, hit the Uso splash, and he got the 1, 2, 3. And he celebrated and said yeet a lot, because that's just what he does. I would also tell you that Jey is through to round 2 of this tournament, but we still don't have brackets. So maybe round 2 is actually the final, and every single winner from round 1 goes into a battle royal. You can laugh about that, but we literally do not know. But the match was perfectly fine. Like, we'll never talk about it again, but not every single match has to be the best thing ever. I enjoyed myself. Up. Ilya Dragunov then became an anime character, because he was telling Nick Aldis, I shall not take on Tommaso Ciampa, because he does not have honor, and I will only take on people that have won my respect. My hand went up instantly. I was like, you took on Johnny Gargano last week. Did you not see what Johnny Gargano did in that TLC match a few months ago? He essentially mugged off his own wife. He's going to take on Axiom instead, and very handily, Axiom was stood right there. I did get excited, because of course that was going to be a big match. When Bronson Reed and Paul Heyman were just there, they were like, oh, hi, Nick Aldis. We'd like to have a chat with you. we got a random John Cena interview video, and then we came back to the chat. So it was Nick Aldis in the Vision, which is not the name of a Nickelodeon cartoon, and we made it very clear here. And at first, I didn't know what Paul Heyman was going on about. He was like, Nick Aldis, do not forget we have an arrangement that for my War Games team, I can pick any person from any brand, no matter what they're doing. I was like, what the flub is he going on about? But naturally, it was going to tie into the finish. Aldis told him to go away, which is when Cody Rhodes walked in. And he said something like, you have pulled my friends into the fire, Vision people. So now I'm going to walk through the flames, which was kind of cool, but also sounded like an emo song from 1999. And basically, Bronson Rhea was like, look who it is, Cody Rhodes, mate. I'm going to whip your ass. And Cody was so offended by this. We are having Bronson versus Cody in a WWE title match tonight. Start looking around the place. So we can't advertise that beforehand? Apparently not. But do you know the worst thing? And again, we'll address this later. Straight away, my tum-tum went, well, of course we're not going to finish. It's going to end in a disqualification. And guess what's happened? That's right, we'll talk about it. When we did get this US title open challenge between Ilya, Dragunov and Axiom, and once again, I think the chat in the back must have been, shall I try and kill you? And the other person was like, yes. They said, but can I kill you too? And Ilya was like, absolutely you can. This DDT that Axiom did at one point was the craziest thing ever, and also the boot that he gave to Ilya. So the absolute smack that Dragunov gave him and the German suplex, which of course made no sense, and I presume had to have hurt Axiom twice because he's from Spain. We also got this awesome Spanish fly, like it looks so damn good. And listen, I don't think anybody actually believed that Axiom was going to win the US title. But when it comes to these open challenges, I think we've just got into a routine now where we can sit down and go, well, I'm going to have a good old time. And good grief we did. Again, if you have 10 to 15 minutes today and you just want to see a banger, you absolutely should go and put this on. It looked like Axiom was going to get the golden ratio too, but instead he got hit with Torpedo Moscow and the H-bomb, and Ilya beat him for the 1-2-3 when they shook hands, because again, it is all about honor. It's just brilliant. If you tie in Sami Zayn's run as well, this US Championship is finally getting to the level we have talked about for ages. I'm giving it up. You can continue this for weeks. Just continue to find good opponents, and of course, eventually it will be Tommaso Ciampa, who we're now meant to call a jackass. It ruled. Ciampa made sure to beat him up afterwards because once again, he has no honor. He is officially no honor Tommaso, which sounds like something you'd put on a nacho, and now I'm just saying words that finish with O. When R-Truth was talking to Nick Aldis, and he was like, you should take my balls and do something with my balls, and Nick Aldis was like, I don't want to do anything with your balls. I was like, well, I'm here now. No, nothing we can do about this. Doesn't sound like R-Truth is going to be in the tournament, but he really would like somebody to touch his balls. Chelsea Green then strolled in as well because she wants a championship celebration, which she was meant to get this evening. So instead, she's going to get it next week. And she was also super duper mad because when she won this US title, no pyrotechnics. I'm already worried about this belt. It's just like we don't do anything with it. But let's be patient to wait and see. I suppose Sami Zayn had been watching all of that and he wanted to get his thoughts out into the world too, because he was like, well, ever since I've been on SmackDown, there have been some highs and there have been some lows, because sometimes I am an arrogant Alan. I was like, imagine he wanted to say ups and downs. He was like, man, I can't do that. That bald guy will definitely go off about it. Of course, he is super upset because he has had to watch the MFTs totally destroy his friends over the last few weeks because he hasn't been medically cleared. And do you know who the bad guy in all of this is? Nick Aldis. It doesn't have to be Sami Zayn being the police. Why couldn't have Nikki found somebody else, or, him to enforce the rules to stop the MFTs doing this? So I think Sami Zayn should punch Nick Aldis right in the face. He told Solo to get out of here as well, and he instantly did arrive with the MFTs. So they must have just been hanging around by the curtain. And I think he called Sami Zayn a liar and said he's totally pathetic. Like, man, that's a little bit mean. He also doesn't care about these people, and he certainly doesn't care about his family. If you want to talk about a man that is into his family, look at Solo Sikoa right now, surrounded by his MFTs. When he acted like they were going to attack Sami Zayn, but they didn't because Solo decided, no, I would rather beat you up when you are 100%. So why the flub did you come out here to begin with? Although I did like it, because we all know Solo Sikoa was the best. Now, it turned out that Sami Zayn actually had a big old plan here, because he is the babyface, so out came Shinsuke Nakamura and the Motor City Machine Guns to beat the hell out of the MFTs. And no joke, because I make notes as I go, I was like, well, this should really be a traditional Elimination Survivor Series match on the pay-per-view. Then a few minutes later, Nick Aldis went, oh, Sami Zayn, would you like this to be an official Survivor Series match on the pay-per-view? He didn't say it to Sami. He said to Solo Sikoa. Now, it kind of sucks. He's going on the SmackDown before Survivor Series. I would have put it on the pay-per-view. But for that reason alone, I am going to give it an up. Like, this segment was fine. I was like, I don't understand where we're going here. But then we rubber stamped it He gets a couple of thumbs. I will always take a good old-fashioned traditional Survivor Series match. We then got one of the lamest segments in a while, because Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso met up backstage. Jey was like, I will protect you later if I have to. When Jimmy Uso walked in, and he was just Mr. Exposition. He was like, oh, hey, guys, I just spoke to CM Punk on the phone, and I'm going to be in the War Games match. It's like, we couldn't have just done an angle for that. We just had a man walk up and say out his mouth, I mean, why not? It also means that John Cena is probably not going to be in that War Games match, and that was my prediction, make it like a babyface all-star team. Now I'm starting to think maybe one Joe Hendry, and congratulations to him for his WWE contract. Maybe he's about to get his big old dream match. I should have mentioned too, after Nick Aldis and Sikoa had that chat, we did get spooky Wyatt Six stuff, because that's just what they do. When I think we got the highlight of the evening, it was going to be the surprise LA Knight opponent in the John Cena tournament, and it was flipping Matt Cardona, although here he's gone back to Zack Ryder. I just thought this was tremendous. If you have been following Matt Cardona's post-WWE career, he went out on the indie scene and he just totally smashed it. And yes, he did keep mentioning that he wanted to get back to WWE. And whether he signed or not, I don't know. But I just thought it was brilliant. It did make me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. For all those people that are going, he once said he'd never go back to WWE. If he was called Zack Ryder, just let the man enjoy his moment. If somebody from WWE rings you up and said, but you'll have to be Zack Ryder, don't say no. Say yes. Embrace the opportunity. Honestly, I loved all of this. And he was taking on LA Knight, and somehow that just worked in my brain. I'm just going to give it an up right now. I thought it totally ruled. It did make me laugh a little bit though, because at one point Zack Ryder did hit the Rough Rider and LA Knight kicked out. But this was kind of different because I guess everybody was just buzzing from the fact he had returned. And at one point he went for it off the top rope, I guess, so sort of like an avalanche version. LA Knight caught him in the power bomb. When he hit the BFT, he got the 1, 2, 3, and that rhymes, so it must be true. And yeah, maybe LA Knight's going through to the next round. I don't know. I have no idea, because there's no bracket, so I don't know if there's a round 2. Ryder also went for an unprettier at one point during this, which of course was a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to his wife, Chelsea Green. But it's just wonderful, and it's just the best. And again, I've interviewed and chatted to Matt Cardona throughout the years, and he's just the dude. I mean, he does enjoy yelling at me when we do interviews. That's kind of our thing. Just the best, just awesome, just excellent, and other words like that I'm running out of. But yeah, it made me feel good. Why the flub do I watch wrestling to begin with? In fact, I enjoyed it so much. Put another up on the counter. We're out of control. Rhea, Ripley and Io Sky then reminded themselves why you don't talk about problems backstage, because they were all like, what are we going to do about Charlotte, who has left the building? When Nia Jax's last legend, the Kabuki Warriors, turned up, and they absolutely killed them, we think Charlotte is going to sign on. At one point, though, she absolutely should just punch Rhea Ripley right in the face to tie into all of this. When we did exactly the right thing by Jade Cargill, she was taking on B-Fab like we had set up last week. And look, I like B-Fab. She quite clearly puts a lot of effort in. But Jade Cargill grabbed her, she threw her around the place, she hit a couple of power bombs, she hit the Jaded, and she got the 1, 2, 3. As I keep on telling you, not every single match has to be 42 hours. Sometimes you can look at someone and go, well, they look like a badass. They should go in there and totally destroy someone. And you say to B-Fab, I'm sorry, kid, but it's just your night. 1, 2, 3, I'm giving it an up. Michin got involved after this. And again, she's super reliable as well. But now next week, it should be Jade Cargill versus Michin. And if it does happen, I'm just going to copy and paste what I said right here. This Jade Cargill heel turn is excellent, and she should destroy people for at least 32 years. Did I give it up? I don't know, but it's getting it up. More random John Cena tournament matches for next week as well. It is going to be Carmelo Hayes versus Bronson Reed. And Carmelo Hayes did cut a promo here, but I'm a little bit worried. And we're getting Penta versus Finn Balor. And that should be pretty flipping good. And then a quick video with Aliester Black after this, and he was talking about Damian Priest, and he said, I've got it written down here, I don't want to get it wrong, Damian was forced to break his code, and now Aliester Black wants to win a title. What? I don't know what that means. Listen, I'm a big fan of Aliester Black and Zelina Vega, and I think Damian Priest is brilliant, and we should cook him up again in 2026. But this feud is just so weird, because it's so itty-bitty. Like, sometimes it's happening, sometimes it's not happening. Sometimes you see Damian Priest, and sometimes he's getting set on fire. Now, actually, this goes back to the intro. Maybe a 3-hour SmackDown will be a benefit, because we can kind of do this properly, because I am going to give it a down, just because it jumps around the place. So yeah, maybe I'm totally wrong about that. Trust me, I'm happy to be proven to look like an idiot. When I do have to give it down to the main event too, it ties into what we were saying. Cody Rhodes versus Bronson Reed. And actually what they did here was brilliant, although I did have a small conniption when Bronson Reed went for the tsunami and missed. So I was like, man, we kind of ruined that move because Logan Paul didn't sell it at all, but I'll get past it, don't worry about it. But just as they really started to get into it, out came Mr. Logan, out came Bron Breakker, and they caused a disqualification. And I kind of sat there going, listen, I understand you have to do this in the build to War Games. The issue being, WWE has done this throughout 2025, so the impact has been nullified. The Usos then ran in because, of course, once again, we've done the numbers game. Although CM Punk wasn't there, so nobody called him. But we did get a good finish, because just when Logan Paul was about to be smashed through a table, Drew McIntyre did turn up, and he started to beat up everyone. And don't forget, he does have the prior relationship with Logan Paul, but Nick Aldis ran out and said, Paul Heyman, what are you doing? And Paul was like, I told you, anyone, any show. So even though Drew has been suspended, he has been recruited into the Division 4 War Games. I actually think that's a nice story touch, and yes, it explains why he's not in the John Cena tournament. But he absolutely should have been in the John Cena tournament. They totally annihilated the babyfaces here as well, and Drew had, I think, a contract in his hand. I may have missed that. He was holding something. But we can finally see who the bad guy team in the War Games is going to be. And I suppose the last dude could be Brock Lesnar, given the Paul Heyman tie-in. Or there's a weird rumor about Austin 3, but whoever will wait and see. I am going to give that an up because, again, even though it was just another, here's a massive beatdown, after a disqualification, I thought the Drew McIntyre spin was very well executed. And it makes me want to see what is going to happen. And also, after the Cody feud, Drew McIntyre should get in there and snap people. This SmackDown was way better than last week, especially because we did have a couple of surprises. The highlight was absolutely Matt Cardona. So I am going to give it an up. I suppose if you want a match recommendation, it would be Ilya versus Axiom, unless you don't like that kind of modern wrestling. Seems absurd, I have to say that, but you know the deal in 2025. Some people walk into pizza restaurants and say, damn it, where's the burgers? Now, of course, please do let me know what you thought about SmackDown in the comments below. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. There is Raw ups and downs on the screen right now. Please support the show as much as possible. But otherwise, no pay-per-views this weekend, so make sure you have a lovely time. See you next week.